what other day should we choose? There's a bunch of people commenting saying like July 26th. This kid said 2019. Wait, what? This kid right here said Februaris 14. Februaris? Okay, y'all gotta go back to school before I make another episode of this. Come on now.
Unlocks everything like
Kamu masih tetap menawan seperti biasanya. Selamat ulang tahun, sayang. Halo, aku teman masa kecil Wen, sekaligus cahaya rembulan.
I know my nose is going to be just good. I know my nose is too long. I mean, there's this.
Yo, so today we're looking at the weirdest people on the internet. Like this lady right here. Her name is Jennifer Siemens, and she's a teacher. One day, she was just teaching. Everything was going normal. But then there was one kid in the back of the class who kept screaming. Now, this Jennifer lady kept telling the kid, be quiet, stop screaming. But the kid would not shut up for some reason. So you know what she did? For some reason, this lady decided to go over to the kid, sit on his head, and fart in his mouth. I'm not even making this up. This lady was instantly suspended from her school for farting in the kid's mouth. Like, bro, if my teacher ever did that to me, bro, Today's video is gonna be full of people like this who did really, really weird things, but I'm gonna make this video special. Instead of just looking at weird people who did weird things on random days, I'm gonna use your birthdays. You see, in the last episode of This Guy Is Weird, I told you to leave your birthdays in the comments. I was gonna go through, pick random birthdays, and see what happened on your birthday. This video is gonna be crazy. Let's go. All right, so I'm in my comments right now. I'm looking at all of your birthdays. I think I wanna do this one first. This kid commented and said do April 1st. Isn't that like April Fool's? Dude, I know people did some weird stuff on April. Let's see. Oh my God. Okay, so on April 1st, this guy right here, now I don't know his name. I don't think I want to know his name, but this guy right here was just at McDonald's, okay? It kind of makes sense. He was just at McDonald's eating, and when nobody was looking, he somehow went into the back of the McDonald's without getting caught. He started taking the chicken nuggets, and he started like trying to steal them. Right when he was walking out of the building with like 500 chicken nuggets, somebody noticed that he was stealing them, so they called the cops. When the cops showed up to arrest this guy for stealing the nuggets, they couldn't find them. They were wondering, okay, where were the nuggets? So they decided to look at the camera footage, and guess what happened? This guy right here was caught hiding the nuggets in his fat rolls. I'm not even making this up. This dude, whatever his name is, I don't even know. I don't even want to know. He decided that it would be a good idea to hide the chicken McNuggets in his belly fat. Bro, what? Okay, that was weird. Let's find another date. This kid said January 1st. He also said, oh, I subscribed, please. Okay, I guess I'll do this since you subscribed. January 1st, that's literally like New Year's, bro. People are definitely doing some weird stuff. Okay, this is weird, bro. So this guy right here, on January 1st, he thought it would be a good idea to go ride around in his car, but he had been drinking. So as he was driving around, he was like swerving and stuff like that, and he ended up getting pulled over. When the cops pulled him over, they said, hey, can we have your driver's license and can we have your insurance? That's what they always do. They ask for your driver's license and stuff like that. This guy, instead of giving them his driver's license, he gave them a taco. He literally handed the cop a taco and he was like,
you are kidding.
The cops were like, what the hell? I didn't ask for this. Why are you giving me, can I have your ID? And he just sat there staring at them. And then the cops realized that in the back seat of this guy's car, he was making tacos on like a stove or something, and the back seat of his car was on fire. He was literally driving around on January 1st, making tacos in the back seat of his car while driving. What the I mean, I know a lot of people have like weird New Year's resolutions, right? But this is the weirdest one ever. This guy was trying to make a taco stand on wheels, and then it was so dumb that he gave the cop a taco. Dude, he ended up getting arrested for this, and his car actually ended up catching on fire. That is so stupid. Bro, also on January 1st, this guy right here, I mean, right away, you can tell that there's something wrong with this guy, right? Well, this guy ended up trying to rob a bank. Okay, he saw a bank and he was like, oh, it's gonna be a good idea for me to go and rob this bank. I don't know why people think that they can rob banks. That was like in the 1800s, bro. You're not gonna take their money. They're just gonna call the cops. They're gonna go to jail. But this guy really believed that he could rob this bank. But instead of like going up to the counter and saying, give me the money, he just like walked into the back, started like taking the money, and people were like, what are you doing? And then they called the cops, and then the cops came and got him. When the cops asked him why he tried robbing the bank, he said that he paid $500 to a wizard, and the wizard made him invisible. What? This guy actually paid someone $500, and they convinced him that they made him invisible, so he decided to go to the bank, and he thought he was invisible. Bro, what? How? What? All right, which one should we do next? There's so many different comments. Let's do June 22nd. That sounds like a really good day. It's like in the middle of the summer. It's probably just so beautiful. Let's see what weird things happen. Oh my God. Okay, so on June 22nd, this guy right here, you're never gonna guess what he did. I think I might have mentioned this in another video, but I'm gonna talk about it again because this is so weird. So this guy was just standing in the middle of the street, right? He was just standing, waiting for the light to change or whatever, and the light wasn't changing. So he decided to climb up the telephone pole. Like, he climbed up on the street light. He climbed over to where the light was like red, and he started banging on the light to try to make it turn green or whatever. And then nobody expected what he was gonna do next. Like, people were already like, why are you banging on the light? Like, you're gonna fall down it. What are you doing? He heard everybody honking at him, like telling him to get down, like, get down, what are you doing? For some reason, this guy didn't like it, so he decided to, while hanging, pull his I'm not even, okay, yeah, he started pooping on the cars. I'm not even kidding. I don't know if this guy like ate a ton of McDonald's before he did this, but he started pooping on the cars that were below him. Like, people were saying, get down, honk, honk, and they were just getting pooped on. What the? This guy got arrested instantly after that. The cops came to the scene. They saw him hanging while pooping, and they were like, okay, yeah, this guy's got to go to jail. Hopefully he's still in jail. That is so weird. Okay, what day should we do next? These have been really, really weird so far. This has been a good episode. Let's do this one. January 16th. I feel like weird things happen in January. It's like the new year and people are like trying new things. They're just weird. All right, January 16th. Let's see what happened. What? Okay, so on January 16th, this guy right here, this is so weird. So this guy right here was just hanging out with his dog. He really, really loved his dog so much. Like, his dog was his best friend. And he realized that one day his dog was gonna pass away. And he got really, really sad. So this guy, I don't know why he thought this was a good idea, but he decided to go to a local school, right? He went to like his local high school or something, and he went to the science teacher. He asked for the science teacher. And when he got to the science teacher, he ended up kidnapping him. He kidnapped the science teacher, took him to his house, and forced the science teacher to make his dog immortal. He literally kidnapped the science teacher and was telling him, you need to make my dog live forever. I know you're a scientist. Make my dog live forever. And what? Eventually, this guy ended up getting arrested. The scientist ended up going back to the school, but like, what, dude? You really thought a scientist? Bro, what? All right, which date should we choose next? I think we're gonna do, this kid just said March. He didn't even say what day. You were born on March? Ooh, look at this. Somebody commented and said, I'm a girl, so do September 15th. You know what? Since you're a girl and I feel bad for you, let's go September 15th. Okay, what? On September 15th, this guy right here, this guy's name was Seth Waters or whatever, and this is just weird. Okay, so on September 15th, this guy right here, right away, you can tell that this is gonna be a weird story. I mean, what type of picture is that, bro? Are you like halfway asleep? Anyway, this guy, we actually know his name. His name was Seth Waters, and this guy decided to do something so dumb. So this dude was a homeless guy, right? And he was just walking down the street like normal, and he looked on the ground and he saw a check. Now, people don't really use checks nowadays, but this is what people used to do. They used to like write down on this check and then put a bunch of numbers, and they could take it to their bank and cash it in, right? Well, this guy found a check on the ground. It was a blank check. So he thought of a genius idea to write down on the check $368 billion. He wrote his name on it, and then he went to his local bank and he was like, here, I want to cash in this $368 billion check. Now, instantly, the people at the bank were like, what the hell? Is this a joke? Like, do you actually think this is gonna work? But no, this guy ended up getting arrested for doing this because he didn't just stop when they told him no. He ended up going to another bank and another bank and another bank. He went to 4 banks in a row trying to cash this fake check for $368 billion. And then the weirdest part happened. When he got to the 5th bank and they told him no, instead of just going home, or I guess he didn't have a home, oops, instead of just leaving, he ended up having a temper tantrum. He started crying, breaking stuff at the bank, and they had to call the cops, and then he went to jail. This grown man was crying because he couldn't cash a $368 billion check. You know how much money that is, dude? Okay, this lady right here is savage, bro. Listen to this. So this lady's name is Juanita Fitzgerald, and she ended up getting arrested for not paying her rent. Now, if you don't know, like whenever you live somewhere, normally you have to pay somebody rent, or you have to pay a mortgage. You have to pay for when you live. You know what I mean? You have to pay for your house. This lady decided to stop paying for, you know, where she lived. And when the cops like asked her, why aren't you paying your rent? Like, what, like you need to pay for your house. She said she thought she was going to die soon. That's why she stopped paying. What? That makes no sense. Let's do this one. Somebody said, I've been subscribed for a long time. Please do May 16th. That's my birthday. Okay, May 16th, just because you've been subscribed for a long time. Let's see what weird stuff happened on May 16th. What? Okay, this guy got arrested for doing the dumbest thing. Okay, let me just explain. So on May 16th, this guy was in Chicago. Chicago's like a big, nice city, right? This guy was walking around with like a dinosaur grabber. I'll put a picture on the screen. This guy was using like a thing where you press this in and it grabs stuff. This grown man was just walking down the street with his little dinosaur grabber or whatever. I don't know. But you know what he was doing with this thing? You're never gonna guess. Instead of just using it like a normal person and like picking up trash or like, you know, messing with people, he was stealing guns off of police officers. You know how police officers have like the guns on the side of their hip or whatever? He was like going behind the officers and trying to grab their gun with this little toy dinosaur grab. What are you thinking, bro? All right, which one should we look at next? Somebody said Matt 8. Okay, what the hell does that mean? Jesus Christ, this kid spammed my comments like 1,000 times. Okay, October 30th, let's do it. Okay, so on October 30th, this guy right here, I don't know his name. He worked at Chuck E. Cheese, okay? You know what Chuck E. Cheese is? It's like an arcade where like kids and stuff, they go to play, and it's just like a place where they serve pizza. He worked at Chuck E. Cheese. He was a cook. He was the one who was cooking the pizzas and stuff, which, I mean, dude, I would not want him to cook my pizza. It looks like he has pizza in his mouth. Okay, I need to chill. This guy, after work, after a long day of, you know, cooking pizzas and hanging out with kids and, you know, having fun, he realized that he wasn't making enough money from his job. Chuck E. Cheese wasn't paying him enough. So he thought of a great idea. After work, he was gonna go down to the local gas station, rob the gas station, and get a bunch of money, right? Well, there was one problem with this plan. You see, when he was at Chuck E. Cheese, when he worked there, his uniform would have his name on it, and it would also say Chuck E. Cheese, right? Every single like Chuck E. Cheese uniform has like the person's name and where they work. You know, it says Chuck E. Cheese. Well, this guy, right after work, decided to rob the gas station right across the street from the Chuck E. Cheese where he worked. Once he walked into the gas station and started like trying to take their money, they realized that his name was on his shirt and where he worked was on his shirt. He thought he successfully got away with it. He didn't realize that he literally had his name on his shirt and where he worked. They ended up catching him like 5 hours later. Oh my God, dude. Okay, what is this? Okay, this is the weirdest story I've ever heard. I'm just gonna read this. It says, Florida man with no legs was arrested after kicking his pregnant wife's ear off. This guy has no legs and he kicked his wife's ear. Yeah, I'm done. That's the weirdest thing ever.
Always there's one plus rain after I lost the
Kamu sadar nggak sih kalau kamu tuh pinter banget? Pastinya dong. Tapi jangan sepelein juga fitur-fitur kerenku yang lain ya. Apalagi baru-baru ini mereka baru ganti logo baru. Jadi makin keren. Kalau ada masalah sama skripsi, tinggal foto terus kirim ke aku. Nanti bakal aku jawabin lengkap pakai langkah-langkahnya. Mau ngerangkum jurnal yang panjang banget, kirim aja filenya. Biar aku yang cariin poin-poin pentingnya buat kamu. Kalau lagi capek, kamu juga bisa langsung telepon aku buat ngobrol santai biar rileks.
Duh, beneran deh, makin sayang banget sama kamu, Dola.
Lagian aku tuh Cemport Sento gratis. Jadi kalau ada apa-apa, gas langsung cari aku ya.
I did room. I got this.
Yo, Yo, so today we're looking at the weirdest people on the internet. Like this guy. This guy's name is James Minion, and one day he wanted to go to Burger King to get some dinner. He pulled up to the drive-thru and he said, hey, can I get 2 cheeseburgers, but make sure there's no pickles on it. Now this James guy, he hated pickles. Everybody in his family knew that he would never eat pickles. The guy in the drive-thru said, okay, sure, yeah, we won't put pickles on your burger, come around. James pulled up to the window, waited, got his food, and when he got his food, he checked one of his cheeseburgers. He wanted to check it just to make sure there was no pickles on it, and when he checked, there was no pickles. So he drove home, and when he got home, he started eating. He ate the first burger, it was really, really good, and then when he started eating the second burger, he realized there was pickles on it. Immediately, this James guy drove all the way back to the Burger King, but instead of just going through the drive-thru and saying, hey, can I get an extra burger? You forgot to, not put pickles on it. He drove straight through the drive-thru at 50 miles per hour. Like, what the? Pickles aren't that bad, bro. Today's video is gonna be a bunch of stories just like this one of weird people doing weird things, but this video is gonna be special. Instead of just talking about random people who did random stuff on random days, I'm actually gonna be seeing what happened on your birthday. You see, in the last episode of This Guy Is Weird, I told you guys to comment your birthday in the comments. Now, I'm gonna be choosing out of these 23,000 comments on the last video, we're gonna be picking your birthdays. We're gonna see what weird stuff happened on your birthdays. Get ready, let's go. On August 3rd, this guy right here, he looks really, very weird. He decided to go visit his mom in the hospital. Instead of just sitting next to her and hanging out, he brought his tattoo kit and drew tattoos all over her face. And then when she woke up from the coma a couple of months later, she was like, what the f? Why would you do that, bro? That's not the only weird thing that happened on this day. Look at this. So on August 3rd, this guy right here with a very weird tattoo. Anyway, this guy was very, very bored. It was the middle of the summer. He didn't really have anything to do. And all of his friends recently got arrested. So all of his friends were in jail and he was kind of lonely and bored. So guess what he decided to do? He didn't just call them or anything. He decided to break into the jail to hang out with them. Yeah, this bald guy broke into jail just to hang out with his friends. Bro, this video is sponsored by Tester Up. I really love video games. I love playing games, but sometimes it gets kind of boring. With Tester Up though, you can play games and get paid real money just to play. Signing up is super easy. All you have to do is download and create an account with your email or phone number, and then you can browse the available tasks and games to follow the instructions. For example, they could say download this game, you play it, you get to a certain level, you get money. My favorite game is the Klondike Farm game. All you do is like you basically farm. You set up a farm and you get paid for it. Tester Up has thousands of 5-star reviews, so you know it's legit. All you have to do is play games, you get money. It's amazing. If you want to start making money from playing games today, then download Tester Up with the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code that's on the screen right now. Start making some money, have some fun playing games. Shout out to Tester Up. I love this. All right, that was very, very weird. I'm never looking at that day again. Let's see what other days were weird. For some reason, a lot of people are saying April 9th. Look, this kid said April 9th. This kid said, I subbed, do April 9th. This guy said, please do April 9th. I don't know why everybody's being born on April 9th. Your parents are up to some weird stuff. But let's see what weird stuff happened on April 9th. That's a weird day. So on April 9th, this guy right here, okay, you already can tell that something weird's about to happen. Well, this guy, he worked at McDonald's. So he was one of the employees. He was back there just, chefing it up, cooking up all that nasty stuff they serve at McDonald's. It's not food, by the way. But this guy decided one day when his manager wasn't working that he would steal a bunch of chicken nuggets. I don't know why he wanted to steal chicken nuggets. I don't know. But instead of just like putting them in his bag or maybe like holding them in his pocket or something, he stuffed 80 chicken nuggets in his underwear. When nobody was looking, he was like stuffing it into his, what the? Now he ended up getting caught, and how he got caught was the employees, like his other coworkers who were also cooking, they noticed that his stomach region looked really, really big. Like he's a skinny guy, but when he left for work, he was like, just acting like, bro, did you really need that many chicken McNuggets? And also, bro, why would you even eat those? You put them in your pants. All right, let's choose this one. It says March 16th. I've been subscribed for a long time. Okay, thanks, bro. The reason I'm choosing this isn't because you have a Hello Kitty profile picture. It's because March 16th sounds like a very weird day. I don't know why, but it seems like weird people do weird stuff.
Aku menangkap pacarku selingkuh, tapi dia tidak tahu rahasiaku. Aku pulang lebih awal dan melihat dia bersama wanita lain. Dia menatapku dan berkata, kamu tidak pernah cukup baik. Aku pergi tanpa berkata apa-apa, tapi dia tidak tahu wanita yang dia sakiti akan menjadi mimpi buruk terbesarnya. Beberapa bulan kemudian, aku masuk ke perusahaannya. Semua orang berdiri, karena aku adalah pemilik baru perusahaan itu. Sekarang kamu tahu apa yang sudah kamu kehilangan.
stuff on that day, so let's check it out. Bro, okay, so on this day, this guy right here, just take a look at him, bro. He's wearing his shirt inside out. He's like, huh? He's super confused. Let me explain why he's confused. This was a picture that was taken of him after he got arrested, okay? Now, this guy's name is Edward, and Edward had been on the run from the cops for a very long time. The cops weren't able to find him. I think he was hiding somewhere, like maybe at his family's house somewhere in a different state. But then one day, this Edward guy turned on the news and he saw himself on the news. They were saying there was a $500 reward for his capture. Well, this Edward guy isn't very smart. He decided to turn himself in for $500. This guy actually thought that if he turned himself in, they would give him the money. What, bro? That's why he seems so confused, bro. They were like, all right, you're getting arrested. They took his picture and he's like, I'm getting arrested? What about $500? So on June 12th, this guy right here was just driving, but he didn't know that his turning signal wasn't working. So as he was driving, he was using his turning signal, but it wasn't working, and there was a cop behind him. The cop ended up pulling him over to tell him, hey, your turning signal's messed up. But he didn't know this. When the cop came up and said, hey, you don't have a turning signal, give me your license or give me your registration, whatever, this guy gave it to him, and the cop was like, okay, this is a fake driver's license. This guy was saying, no, I promise, this is real. This is my real name. But the cop didn't believe him. You want to know why? The reason the cop thought that he was lying and giving him a fake ID was because this guy's name is Bizao Dudu Zopity Bop Bop Bop. I'm not even kidding. This isn't even like fake at all. This guy's name is Bizao Dudu Zopity Bop Bop Bop. This Bizao Dudu Boppity Blah Blah guy ended up getting arrested because he kept talking to the cop saying, I promise it's my name, I promise. And the cop thought he was messing around with him, so he arrested him for lying to a police officer. But it turned out when he went to the jail, they were like, oh my God, your name is Bizao Dudu Zopity Bop Bop. And then they were like, what the hell's wrong with your parents? Also, on June 12th, this old guy was tired of his wife. His wife was just complaining and she was just so annoying. She was just, oh, clean the dishes, do this, do the laundry, do that. He was just so annoyed, so he decided to make a plan. This guy decided that he was going to rob a bank and then hopefully get sent to jail for like a month or two so he could get away from his wife. He had it all planned out. On June 12th, he decided to go to the local bank in his town and start robbing it. When the cops showed up, he was like, yay, finally, like, take me, guys. And they took him away and they sent him to jail. Everything was going good. He wanted to be away from his wife, so he was in jail, but then they released him and they sentenced him to house arrest. If you don't know what that means, it basically means you can't leave your house. He was sentenced to 6 months on house arrest, which meant that this guy was stuck with his wife in the house 6 months straight. All right, so on November 7th, this lady right here got arrested for doing something actually insane. So she was just chilling at home, and she made her husband cheese. Ended up eating cheese, and he was like, oh, this is disgusting. Like, what did you make? Like, how'd you make it? And she ended up explaining to him, oh, I made it with water, cheese, stuff like that. And he was like, why are you? They started to just argue about how bad the mac and cheese was, and she couldn't take it anymore. She didn't want to keep on arguing and arguing. She didn't want to hear all of his complaints. So she ended up stabbing him with a squirrel. Yeah, you're not reading that wrong. You didn't hear it wrong. Wife stabs husband with a squirrel. Apparently, according to the news story, this lady was so fed up that she ran outside. She somehow grabbed a squirrel. How fast do you have to be to grab a squirrel, bro? When I was a kid, I would go outside and I would try to, like, you know, catch birds or catch squirrels, just stuff like that. And I was never able to. I don't know how fast this lady is. Is she an NFL player, basketball player, something like that? I don't even know. That's not the only weird thing that happened on November 7th. What the hell's wrong with this day? All right. This guy right here, just by seeing this, you know this is about to be insane. This might be the craziest story so far. But this guy... This guy's name was Brad, all right? Brad was just driving down his street and he noticed a little kid walking around. Instead of like talking to the little kid and saying, hey, like, do you need help finding your mom or whatever? He ended up kidnapping this kid, right? But guess what happened after that? You're never gonna believe it. This guy was driving around with this kidnapped baby that he just grabbed off the street, and he was driving and driving and driving. He went to the next town over, about 30 minutes away, and he was feeling a little hungry. Now, just by looking at this guy, you know he loves McDonald's. He loves Burger King. You could just tell, right? He pulled up to the McDonald's, and right when he was about to order at the drive-thru, he was looking for his wallet, and he realized, oh my God, I don't have my wallet. He ended up checking his pockets, and he realized that he left his wallet all the way back at home. He really wanted to eat. He didn't know what to do, so he decided to order 15 Big Macs. And then when he got to the window, he grabbed the baby, and he was like, here, I'll trade you this baby for 15 Big Macs. Now, he wasn't joking. He sat there, and he was like, take the baby. take the baby. I want my Big Macs. He was begging for his Big Macs. Once the McDonald's workers realized he wasn't kidding and that this might have actually been like a stolen baby, they called the cops. The cops came. They took him away. They returned the baby. Everything was all good. But this guy never got his Big Macs. How do you eat 15 Big Macs? I mean, look at what the? Okay, I don't know why, but I feel like looking at this one. All right, so on April 28th, this guy right here, this guy's name was Bobby. This Bobby guy decided to go to Walmart. Now, this sounds very normal, but he went shopping. He started getting, you know, fruit, vegetables, meat. He got a bunch of stuff. He got some water bottles, but he also bought a table. As he was buying this stuff, nobody thought that this was weird. I mean, he bought a table, he bought some food, he bought some drinks, he bought a jacket, stuff like that. But once he left Walmart, he set up the table, he set up a chair, he started eating some food, and this is where it got weird. This guy decided to spend his whole day telling people that their babies were ugly. Anytime somebody came in the front doors at Walmart, he was sitting there at this table saying, your baby's ugly. Eventually, somebody ended up calling the cops on this guy because he was just treating every single baby that came through. He was like, you got a big head, you got big feet. Like, what? Okay, this is the dumbest one right here. So this guy's name is Jonathan. Jonathan was driving in his car and he ended up getting pulled over because he was speeding. And when the cop came to his window and said, hey, why are you going so fast? Guess what Jonathan did? Instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I knew I was speeding, he tried to bribe the officer. He tried to give the officer Sprite and chicken Alfredo. This James guy just got back from a family reunion or something where he had some leftover chicken Alfredo, some leftover Sprite. He thought that if he was like, oh, hey, do you want this nasty food that's probably cold? He thought the cop would be like, oh, yeah, you're good, bro. Go, go, go. Are you serious? I mean, it makes sense. It says that he's from Ohio. I mean, that definitely makes sense. But did you really think that was gonna work? Oh my God, this guy's savage, bro. So this guy right here worked at a bank and he was switching jobs. Now, everybody at his bank really, really liked him, but he ended up going to jail for what he did, and I'm about to tell you. He brought the cake to work on his final day, and everybody had a nice party saying goodbye, like, oh, it's so nice working with you. And everybody was eating the cake, enjoying it, but somebody realized that he was the only one not eating the cake. You wanna know why? Apparently, this guy put a ton of laxatives in this cake, which basically makes it so you poop. Like, you poop a ton. And right after people started eating this, they realized, wait, why is my stomach hurting? Everyone started pooping. Like, the whole bank was filled with poop. He ended up going to jail because it caused so much of a disruption. People who were coming through the bank couldn't even get their money because the workers were just pooping everywhere. Imagine you go to the bank and you're trying to get some money. You just look inside and there's just piles of dookie everywhere. What the hell? Leave a comment if you want to be in the next video. Peace out.
Cuma 1000-an buat dapetin Glade to Glow dengan nabung sehari 1000, cuma 30.000-an aja. Jangan bilang nggak punya duit, sehari 1000 kalian pasti mampu. Kamu tinggal langsung aja cek keranjang oren aku, masukin keranjang dan langsung payment sekarang.
Yo, so today we're looking at the weirdest people on the internet. For example, this guy right here, this guy's name is Kevin Johnson, and guess what he did? On June 15th, this Kevin guy decided that he wanted to break into Walmart. He waited until the store was closing, and once it closed, he successfully broke in the store. He ended up walking around the Walmart. There was nobody there. He was just looking at everything. He ended up eating a few things, but he went over to the water bottle section. He ended up drinking a bunch of water. He must have been super thirsty or whatever, but guess what he did, bro? After he drank the water out of the water bottles, he put his own water in the bottles. It was yellow water. You know what I'm talking about. After he did this to multiple different water bottles, he put them back on the shelf and he ended up leaving the Walmart. This video is gonna be full of very weird people doing very weird things, but I'm gonna make this video special. Instead of just finding random weird people who did random weird things on random days, I'm gonna be using your birthdays. So in my last video of This Guy Is Weird, you guys know I have this series going on where I post videos looking at weird people. In the last video, I told you to leave your birthday in the comment section below, and I was gonna see what weird things happened on your birthday. All right, the first one I'm gonna choose is, how about this one? December 2nd. What weird things happened on December 2nd? Okay, on December 2nd, this guy by the name of Michael Jackson, yeah, I'm not even making this up. Look, Florida man named Michael Jackson. Why is his name Michael Jackson? Anyway, this Michael Jackson guy got arrested because he walked up to his local gym. People were inside the gym just working out, and he decided to walk up to the gym, start banging on the windows, screaming at people, and then he ended up taking his clothes off. after he had no clothes on, he was telling the people in the gym, come on, come fight me. You guys have fake muscles. The cops quickly came and arrested this Michael Jackson guy and took him to jail. What the hell? Somebody said do November 25th. That's literally my birthday. Okay, let's see what weird stuff happened on my birthday. I don't think I've ever done this in this series. So let's see. This is weird. So a 25-year-old man named Kristen Dominic Shea ended up jumping a fence at a local elementary school. So he jumped over a fence and he was messing around at the elementary